Friends, continue with our PEW survey. Interestingly, I got some support today. Firstly, I read Navhara Times, but then I thought that we'll also be having in Times of India. That will be better, but it was not there. It is there in Economic Times. There's an article by Swaminathan Anklesarya Iyer. Many of you must be his fans. I'm not. But for me, persons are not important. Issues are. He says, PEW's integrity and technical skills are not contested. I'll contest this sentence. Because I just do not understand that what was the objective of this survey, what they wanted to prove. I'll come to it later. But what he says, Indians lie to the pollsters if they think it may improve their security or access to subsidies. Hence, opinion and exit polls at election time vary widely from reality. Very right. And the same is the case with PEW survey also. And not only that, fear of communal reprisal would slant answers, just as consumption was hugely understated in the National Sample Survey, so too would discrimination be understood and tolerance overstated in PEW survey. Can you really believe PEW's finding that hardly 1/5 of the alleged tribal Muslims faced any recent discrimination? Apart from fear of frankness, when discrimination is solidly emboldened in the social expectations, the victims may stop noticing it. This distorts the survey. I don't think I have to add anything to that. I have already told you that in a survey, people don't speak their heart out. I'm going to take up another matter where PEW is absolutely wrong. I told you, I do not know why they conducted survey and released it at this juncture. The survey was conducted just before this COVID-19 wave started. And the religious groups is written, they show little change in size due to conversion. Hindus 81.6% and currently 81.7%. Muslims remain the same. Christians slightly 2.3 to 2.6. Rest remain the same. I have objection to that. First is, why should Hindus increase by 0.1%? And taking the total number of Hindus, that becomes a significant number. Conversions in the last 1 decade, they have increased in India. The simple fact is, and the reason is, that in developed countries, people are leaving Christianity in large numbers. In many of the churches, in Sunday Mass, not even the half of the hall is full. People in the Muslim world, they cannot declare themselves as atheists, mulhids, I told you last time, because of the threat. But when they leave Islamic world, they do. So to increase their strength, funding they are getting as much as they had. They are sending the preachers to the third world, particularly in the countries like India. Social media is the biggest trustworthy barometer of the situation today. You know about the conversions by Muslims, but larger conversion is being done by Christians, particularly in slums and particularly in the weaker sections of the communities. And people have told me also, conservative estimates even before COVID were that Christians, they are about 6% or maybe 6 to 8% of the total population. Previously, Christians, when they converted somebody, their names were changed by adding something like Masi, and now they don't. So from anybody's name, you cannot know whether a person is Christian or not. Particularly say Dalits, if they convert to Christianity and they declare it, they will lose their benefits of being an SC. And Christian missionaries deliberately tell them not to declare in the open. Like in Punjab, a large number of Sikhs, mainly Mazhabi Sikhs, those from the lower ranks, are being converted with an allure to get a job in Canada. Your constitution says neither by threat nor by lure. Even in the capital city in Delhi. Uh, I'm talking about almost 40 years ago. These people from the church would be visiting slums to distribute bread and butter and whatever is there on Sundays to the Christians. Obviously, the neighbors would also be impressed with that. A friend of mine working in a slum in Banaras, the home to our Prime Minister, uh, she was educating, but because of the slum, the team could not visit that slum for a few months. And after that, when they went, the children, they refused to pray. The children, they refused to receive prasad. Later on, she found that the mission people would be visiting them on every Sunday and would have food with them, breakfast, lunch, dinner at the cost of the church. And this is becoming very common. So, when you see the number of Hindus has increased, I am not convinced at all. And people like me also. There have to be reasons. Hinduism is not a propagating religion. And even their Ghar Vapsi scheme is not still very effective. There are many reasons for that. And why should others become Hindus while there are special benefits for the minorities? We claim to be secular, in the last I discussed, and we are so secular that the minorities have exclusive rights. Nothing of that sort for the majority. But who is a minority? As per the UN, any community that has less than 10% of their population in a country is a minority. That way, the largest minority of India is not a minority. It is the second largest majority. And maximum benefits are being given to them. Why? Again, talking about secularism, many of you must have seen there was a movie, Jaane Bhi Do Yaro. Film and Television Institute, that was the only movie that was a hit. I think it's available on the YouTube also. It was so popular. And if that movie is released in the halls, somebody will definitely destroy the hall itself. At that time, we didn't have any religious animosity or communalism. And how and what of it, the genesis we know, as the terrorism spread in the West Asia and moved to our country, retaliation was there, polarization was there. Not only that, people have been declared minorities, they have been given special provisions, and in a way to benefit certain people only. You have a minority commission. What for? We already have a backward class commission. You have All India Muslim Personal Law Board. That's an NGO, but their clout. And if we talk about the stratification amongst Muslims, Ashraf, Azlaf and Arzal, the elite, the commoners and the downtrodden. All the 200 members of All India Muslim Personal Law Board, they are Ashrafs, they are the elites, either the descendants of the people who moved from the Arab areas or elites in the royals of India who converted. And Ashrafs are hardly 5% of the Muslims in India, but they command, they rule the Islamic world of India. Interestingly, yesterday only, a matter came up with the Supreme Court. 6 people had filed a petition, and what they said? The petitioners are being unconstitutionally deprived of benefits available to the similarly situated members of the religious minorities in violation of their fundamental right to equality, Article 14. Right against discrimination on the ground of religion, Article 15, and the right against paying taxes for promotion or maintenance of any particular religion or religious denomination, Article 27. The petitioners and other members of the Hindu community are suffering because they have been born in a majority community. Long, big argument is there. But the irony is that your constitution even does not tell us who is a Hindu. Those who are not Muslims, those who are not Christian, Parsis, this and that. Exclusion does not define a religion or a community. But still, it is, and nobody raised any objection. Then it doubts the welfare schemes of Waqf properties. Center is treating the Muslim community above law and the constitution, since no such benefits are given to the institutions of Hindu community. such as trusts, mats, and akhadas. In response to the petition, the government has taken a stand, this nationalist government has taken a stand that the scheme being implemented by the ministry are to reduce the inequalities amongst the minority communities and to improve the level of education, particularly in employment, skill and entrepreneurship development, reducing deficiencies in civil amenities or infrastructure. The schemes are not in contradiction to the principles of equality as enshrined in the Constitution and do not violate the rights of members of other communities. When you have schemes for a particular section of the society based on caste or religion, definitely it is the taxpayers' money that you use. And not only that, in a secular country, where is the issue of minority and majority? In a secular country, the issue should be haves and have-nots. And all the special schemes should be meant for the have-nots to whatever caste or whatever religion they belong to. That means the privileges associated with the weaker sections should be associated, taken into account just the poverty level, the economic level, and not that somebody belongs to. And even if you talk about the minorities, most of the Muslims have been included in the OBC category, and still you have it. You have minority commission, you have the recommendations that are given by personal law board that doesn't have any legal sanctity. You have in this present government, majority of the ministers are SC, STs, OBCs, and still you need separate provisions for them, because if that is the case, then I must conclude that all through these 72, 3, 4, 5 years since independence, whatever has been done has not been enough, and whatever is being done, there is no guarantee that is going to improve the lot of the weaker sections, particularly minority. Here I'll go back. I had the videos on the history that never was. I talked about the beautiful tree, Dharampalji's book. A survey was conducted by the British in 1850 or 15 or so, and it was realized that the literacy in India was 98%. Our village had a school that was funded by a temple, which was funded by the people. As the taxes were low, people would generate enough money to support the temples also. But when the British, they monopolized temples, more than 4 lakh temples are under the government, started in British times. While these so-called minorities, they can fund their own projects, the money from the temples goes to the government. If that were not the case, the temples, you could have put a caveat over that the money which is collected will be used for education and health. And the government need not spend money on education and health, because so much of wealth would be generated by these temples. But we won't do it because we are secular. Few cannot see because they are secular. Releasing that survey at this juncture, when polarization is becoming common more and more, issues are being generated to divert your attention from the main issues. But still, the environment is becoming vicious. We have to be aware about this kind of attempts. I charge the PEW of playing with a particular lobby to release this kind of surveys. They should have conducted survey in terms of education and health and employment, what is being done and what can be done, and not this distribution of religions and sects. If there are any queries, I will be glad to respond. Thank you.